This Florida Derby day, remember to sign up with DRF Bets.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Buer, taking a look at a Kentucky Derby prep race from Turfway Park. Let's throw up the field for a juicy edition of the Jeff Ruby Stakes. It's a grade 3 going 1.1 miles on the synthetic surface. It is a big, wide open race with a full field. It's a good betting race, Mike.
Yeah, it is. This is a very interesting race. I thought there were a lot of different ways to go here, Dan. And it's, one of those 2-turn, 9-furlong races that feels like it has a ton of speed.
Well, let's throw up that Timeform US pace projector because our friends at Timeform US agree with you wholeheartedly. You notice the red bar, which indicates that they expect a fast pace. Moonlight Strike trying the synthetic for the first time. He was up close in the Tampa Bay Derby. He should be forward. Tarantino trying synthetic for the first time. He's expected to be up close to the pace. I think Like the King, the number 1, has to be ridden aggressively. I think this time, though, Gretzky the Great, the 10, might sit just a bit.
Yeah, maybe they'll try to sit this time because he did have to go a pretty strong pace last time and he paid the price in the stretch. We'll see if he can take up a tracking spot this time. But man, he is a horse who wants to be forward, Dan. And to get forward, he's going to have to run.
The number 1 is Like the King, going out for trainer Wesley Ward, and he was second in the Battaglia. Kind of got put in tight in between horses at the end of that race. He was up close to those honest fractions in his first start of the year. His Beyer speed figures are going the right way. The question is the 1 1/8. I think he can get it. I really like his tactical speed coupled with his post position. He should probably work out a good trip.
Yeah, he should. I like that he's drawn inside as well. I can't say that I necessarily love him in this race, Dan. I thought his maiden win 2-back was fine, but he just got absolutely loose on the lead and wiring that field. Last time, he probably ran a little better. He did a lot of chasing in there, got to a short lead in the stretch and was only second best, but he did take a step forward.
The Battaglia winner is back. That's the number 2, Hush of a Storm, a New York bred by Creative Cause, who is seeking his 4th consecutive victory, and he really would appreciate a red bar Timeform US fast-paced scenario. He got a big pace last time out, and he swept by them all in the stretch to win. It's really a lot about pace and trip for a horse like this.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I think you'll like about him most as he comes back in this race, Dan, because last time I feel like when you watch the Battaglia back, you feel like of the first 4 finishers, he got the best trip and probably just took advantage a little bit. On the other hand, he's 3 for 3 on this surface. He's 3 for 3 around 2 turns. He ran really well when he won 2 starts back without the best trip in the race. And it feels like he's going to get another setup in here.
And he might be a pretty decent price on the tote as well, with a lot of the fans concentrating on horses coming out of races in Florida on dirt. One of those horses, King's Ovation, he's probably going to be a good price. For me, the question is really distance with King's Ovation. They tried him in the Fountain of Youth. He was simply overmatched against Greatest Honor. His best races to date have come sprinting, and I think he might eventually find his niche as a late running sprinter. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the synth.
Yeah, the surface is a question. The distance is also a question. I feel like there's also just a question of how good this horse is. I mean, he hasn't run a fast race yet.
Awesome Jerry, the number 4, seems like an early type for Saffie Joseph. He was a very precocious 2-year-old. He won his first couple of starts. He was 3rd behind the now sidelined Mutasabek and the Mucho Macho Man. And then as they've stretched him out and they've stepped him up in class, he's been found wanting. Maybe the synthetic surface moves him up. I'm not sure about 1 1/8 for him either.
Yeah, a lot of questions surrounding this horse, led by, just how good he is. Now that they've stepped him up in class, he's really hasn't been competitive. So something needs to change then, but he's also a horse who, another horse, he feels like he wants to be forward, and there's a lot of pace in here.
Intriguing entrant up next for Todd Pletcher. That is Sainthood, the number 5, who won his maiden with a nice trip and ride at the fairgrounds in his 2-turn debut. He was able to back the pace down. He was game in the stretch. And you look at this pedigree, there's a lot of turf, there's a lot of dirt. I think synthetic might actually be okay.
Yeah, he has a very versatile pedigree. I think he's run well in both of his starts. He tries really hard, too. He's got speed. He just works really hard in his races. Last time, he did make the lead, but he got headed in the stretch. He fought back to prevail. This horse is okay to me. It might be a price.
Smiley Sabatka earned a graded stakes placing as a 2-year-old. That's good. The bad news is look at the race it came in. The Kentucky Jockey Club, a race that's just thrown one disappointment after another. And he was one of them. He was betting the Sam F. Davis. He didn't pick his feet up. Maybe he needed the race and can move forward second off the layoff for Dale Romans. Now we're throwing in a new surface. A lot of questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions. You're right. That Kentucky Jockey Club hasn't been good. I mean, he, at least in his defense, he beat Dynamics that day while up on the pace in a race that went to closers. But it just hasn't been productive. He was terrible last time.
Tarantino looks like a horse that is a nice fit in this race. Let's watch his effort in the Fountain of Youth, where he finished fourth behind Greatest Honor, who's going to go off favorite in the Florida Derby on Saturday and has been the scourge of the division in South Florida. He kind of made a move. He was on chase mode with Drain the Clock making the lead. He tried to go after that horse, and he just falters late. We see Greatest Honor run by everybody else. Tarantino has been good on dirt. He's probably a little bit better on turf, but I think synthetic might work for him considering his pedigree and his performances on turf.
I agree with you. He's one of the surface switchers where I feel like you don't really worry about it too much. He seems like he'll probably handle it. And listen, his 2 dirt races aren't bad. I thought maybe he ran a little better in the Holy Bull, but his Fountain of Youth wasn't bad either. This horse is okay.
Moonlight Strike is your expected pace setter according to Timeform US, and he's also getting blinkers for Safi Joseph. Let's watch his Tampa Bay Derby because he was pushing that honest pace early. Looked like he got outpaced a little bit on the turn. He was going to go backwards. Once Daniel Centeno gets him to the outside, though, he re-rallies just a bit. I'm not sure about the overall quality of the Tampa Bay Derby. The favorite ran way up the track. A huge long shot won this race. Now Moonlight Strike has to handle a surface switch. He's not going to be 34-1 in this race. I'm going to take a wait and see approach.
Yeah, I look at him the same way, Dad. I don't want to knock him too much. He is a horse who feels like he could be getting better. I just didn't love his Tampa Bay Derby. I kind of felt like he was third by default in there.
Hard Ride Guy is the number 9, and the question I have to ask for you, Mike, is was this horse going to win if he got through? He was saving ground behind that fast pace. It looked like the rail opened up, and just as he was about to go through, it shut off on him, and he lost all chance. He's going to be another good price in this race. He's going to get another setup. Could you make the argument that he was the best horse in the Battaglia?
He is one of the horses I think you want to keep an eye on out of there. It's certainly possible, Dan, that if he got through on the rail in the stretch, that he would have been right there at the finish. Who knows? As it stands, he ran pretty well in there, and he did take another step forward. The race 2 back when he was also beaten by Hush of a Storm, that's a little bit of a different scenario because he got a perfect trip that day, right up on the inside while Hush of a Storm had to go wide, and it wasn't really that much of a match. Hush of a Storm was much better than he was.
The number 10, Gretzky the Great. He shot, he scored in the Grade 1 summer going a 1-turn mile on turf at Woodbine as a 2-year-old. He ran very well in the Battaglia. It was his first start of the year, his first start on the main track since his second race at Woodbine, and they just sent him from the inside post. He never got a breather. He went fast, and he hung in there all the way down to inside the 16th. He can do better with that race under his belt.
You know, I agree, Dan. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's one of the horses that you would want out of the Battaglia because he just did all the hard work up on the pace, and then the closers came and got him late. He actually ran very well. The problem is now he's got to go longer from a far outside post, and there's more speed in this race.
Speaking of an outside post, this is a tough one for the 11, Dynamite, who's a very consistent horse, whether it be dirt or turf. He makes his synthetic debut Saturday. Let's watch his effort 2 starts back. Texas Turf Mile. He's 23-1 in this $200,000 event. He got up close to the pace in here. He's going to end up finishing a decent third, and he bounced out of this race to just get beat a nose on the turf in the Black Gold Stakes. He has tactical speed. I don't think he needs the lead. I think he can maybe sit in the second flight in this group. The extra distance is a little bit of a question mark, and of course the surface switch.
Yeah, those are questions, and he just has to show that he can sit a little bit in here, Dan, because he is a horse in all of his races. Basically, he's been right up there, part of the pace. I thought in that replay we just watched, I thought he ran really well there. Widest pushing that pace, and the closers came and got him, but he ran well.
Hunch players, of course, are playing the Gretzky the Great Hockey Dad exacta box. Let's watch Hockey Dad's third consecutive victory. First time stretching out. They ran him a mile on the turf here at Santa Anita, and he got up right up close to the pace. He's a little bit green, as you can see, but once he gets to the front, he wins this pretty comfortably under Mario Gutierrez. This is not a good post position. He's going to have to now stretch out a mile and an eighth, but he really hasn't done anything wrong. He just appears that he's still learning the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I think this horse can actually run, Dan, but it feels like he's still learning as he goes. And now he's got to stretch out from a tough post. And again, he's been forward in his races from post 12 in a fast-paced race. A good trip's not going to be easy for him to find.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes. I think we want solid prices in here. Hush of a Storm is a proven commodity on synthetic, Mike. He's going to get a fast pace, and I just think he might end up in the 9-2, 5-1 range as folks land on horses like Sainthood and Tarantino and Gretzky the Great.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I took him. Again, I mean, I feel like going back to the Battaglia, you might want other horses out of that race, but Hush of a Storm just fits this race so well. Really likes this surface. I think there's another good trip coming.
He's my second pick in here. I'm just a little intrigued by Dynamite. I like his versatility. He's won on turf. He's won on dirt. The distance to me is a little bit of a concern. It'll be interesting to see what kind of trip he can work out from out there. But I think the price will be okay for a good trainer. Keith DeZormo. 11, 2, 8, and 1 for me. 2, 7, 9, and 5 for Mike. We hope our picks are well done in the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes.